everybody's here, basically. Dick Zukowski's name shouldn't be there. I don't really have an agenda, but I know we'll talk about a couple of things anyway. I'll call the meeting to order. It is 2:59. Today's date is December 13th, 2018. And the
It's the
meeting...
12th.
December 12th.
Well,
It's my son's birthday.
I know, my sister's
December
my sister's
12th.
tomorrow.
The eyes were a little blurry, and I looked down
It's
before
okay.
I got my glasses on, and it looked like a 13. So it's December 12th, 2018, and now it's 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And we'll commence the Gateway Services Stoneybrook Advisory Committee meeting, and everyone is here. Joe McCulca, J.T. Thomas, Janice Lancaster, Virginia Stacy, Tom Roller, and Angela Sullivan. So we're all in attendance. Let's discuss the estimate to remove the ficus trees. Elk, what you got?
I'm sure you're all aware that there's, I want to say there's at least 4, might be 5 ficus trees in that common area.
Can I, I have to be honest with you. I think I know where they are, but I want to be sure.
It is behind Stone Valley Loop, in the common area that's, I think it's Ivory Stone and Stone Valley, and there's a
It's the
common
one
area in
when it
between.
went down, and now there's one big root system back there from when the hurricane knocked it down, and that would need to probably be picked up too. Is that part of it?
That's part of it.
Can I ask, do we really need to grind up the stumps of all these trees?
Unless you want them to grow back.
You think they would?
They will.
It's
Where
a ficus
did
tree.
the ficus trees come from? I don't,
Nobody seems to know. However, I did review your development order,
Yeah.
and ficus trees are a prohibited species.
I don't know how they got planted back
So,
there.
residents is all I can guess. But I know the developer could not have planted them and then gotten signed off on the CO.
I
Are they
don't
sporadic,
remember.
Or are they like one neighbor's backyard, there's 4?
There's one here, and then down the way, several homes down, there'll be another one, and
Okay,
then they're not in a row, they're sporadic. It's,
but if it's against our rules, we have to get rid of them anyway.
I believe seeing them way back in the very beginning.
Ficus trees though? Unless they called them something else when they planted
there's
them.
only one thing you can call a ficus benjamina. It could have been a weeping fig, but ficus is a ficus.
Okay, because I know
And
we,
like I say, the county, it's on the development order. They would not have signed off on the development order or signed off on the CO had they
Mhm.
come in and found those there.
I have a
And that's
question.
the only place that they are.
Nope.
Is there another estimate, or is this the one and only one that we have?
That's the one and only one. Those are big trees. And there's one that the resident is calling for the tree to be trimmed up
That's one that's knocked down already.
because you can't, one of them went down in a hurricane. One of them, they're asking for us to come in and trim it up and prune it back. And
That's the one that went down in the hurricane, that big one right there.
Well, you have pictures?
No, I'm on Google Earth, and I
Oh.
just know where that one big one is.
So they are big.
The one that went down in the hurricane was pretty big. It was a ficus.
Massive.
Yeah, and the
What's
whole.
the
and there's 2 more back there, probably every bit that
What's the
size.
trunk diameter of those things?
They have moldy trunks is the thing, that's the thing
Like
with the
feeders.
ficus.
And they love water.
They have moldy trunks and then eventually the trunks grow together
didn't already see it.
like the big,
They go from
big tree in front of the courthouse.
Banyan.
The big, that's right, the big banyan down there, that's a ficus. And that's how they do, they start out with one trunk, they'll send up another one, eventually it all grows together
Well, the
until you've got
banyan
one
tends
huge
to
monster.
drop, tends to
Yeah.
drop.
Ficus
roots,
trees do the same thing. It's the same exact thing, they will drop aerial roots and start growing another basic trunk.
Can I ask, are we absolutely sure this is on common area and not on the
Absolutely
home?
positive it's uncommon area.
It's not on the homeowner's property. I just don't get it, I really don't. 'Cause I'll be honest with you, it's been on the board for 10 years. If we had known about it, we would have taken it down a long time ago,
Right.
no longer back there,
What's the issue with them anyway?
Well, one is over and, I guess the stump is still in the ground.
Yeah, I understand that one, but.
It-
are
well,
they- are they
it-
And the
ugly or
roots
are
are
they-
still growing, they will grow towards the home until they literally break the foundation.
How close are they to the homes now?
One of them is, the one was fairly close.
It was right in their backyard. Like right.
right at the
on
edge of the, right on the
property line.
outside edge of the property line.
And they're already complaining about it.
You got two homeowners.
Well, they've been
asking
complaining
for
about
trim.
that because all they're looking at is a big root system with ficus heads popping up.
I
So
mean,
do
I
you put a,
understand
do you put an herbicide on it as well when you grind it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that has to be done, and it has to be done immediately after cutting or grinding, because the tree has a waxy substance that it will cover and to heal
Protect
itself
itself.
up with and grow back again.
Okay. Well, it seemed like a lot of money when I looked at it.
So that's what I thought, so.
Just for 4 trees.
Oh, wait a minute, how about all the trees we replaced every place else? I mean,
Hasn't co-
down by your street, down on your street.
We're not replacing these trees, we're
Yeah,
taking the
we-
trees
I know,
down.
but it's still
And hang on,
beautifying it.
typical tree that we've been taking down has been $250 to $300.
Yeah.
That's what we've been paying.
Not the original tree that you wanted way back when.
Which one was that?
I don't know, but it was a tree we didn't have, and it got said no to by the Master Association and came up with whatever you got down the end of your street.
Oh, we're talking about, probably over off of Gemstone, I think it was.
Well, I think what she's talking about is the cul-de-sac in Greenstone, which we ended up putting that,
Palm, the bird.
actually, we put the orchid tree in there, but we put in the variety that is a sterile tree, so it didn't keep spreading.
Okay. Are you talking
And
about the
then it
tree
came
that
down in
died
the
on
hurricane, so
Greenstone?
we put in
I'm
homes,
just
which are
saying,
much
in
more
general,
wind
you
resistant.
beautify every place else, and I mean, it's, they're the homeowner's property that's gonna get damaged.
But we have never paid this kind of money to take down trees before. That's the issue.
You know,
Just get
Anchor's
another
been the
quote,
cheapest than
see if
anybody
we
from
can-
getting trees
I know
down.
usually these guys are pretty good, and but I'm just looking at that, and it was shocking. Because you're
Well,
talking $1,000 a tree.
You don't have to make a decision today, take the time to go take a walk back there in that common area and have a look at them.
I just think it'd be a great idea to get a second opinion, a second estimate, just so we have something to compare it to. And
Yeah.
if they're both the same, then we know what we've really got here. Because I
Yeah.
thought it was really high too, and I'm thinking,
But I just want to make sure that Anchor's not taking our business for granted right now.
Yeah.
And they've done good work in the past. I really don't have a problem with that. But I want to make sure they just aren't throwing a number at us, assuming that, hey, that we're going to get it. you
Well,
know?
that's why I suggest take a walk back there and look at
Okay.
the size of those trees and at and at the material they are going to have to cut and haul out of there. That's where it's coming from, is the cutting
And the
and
hauling,
hauling it
a
out.
lot of debris to take
Are
out.
they grinding it on property?
Yeah, well, only the
The
stump,
stump.
no, they won't grind the whole tree on property,
They won't
they
cut
haul it
and
away.
They haul it away? I'm surprised they're not grinding it on property.
They don't seem
As
to
big
do
as
that
it
down
is.
here.
FPL does it all the time.
I have to
They
admit,
cut down
I've
things, they're grinding it
hired,
right
up in
there.
Connecticut, we had, it was wooded, and when I took trees down, I did have someone come on my property,
A
and
couple of months ago.
big
when
commercial grinder and grind them
When they
things
took
up.
those, when they took those palm trees out a couple of months ago along Pebblebrook,
Mhm.
they were throwing logs in the back of that thing.
Yeah.
Chipping them up right there.
Yeah, but I will say this, palm trees are softer than a hardwood, they chunk it up pretty easy.
Does
But you're
Anchor
right.
even have a grinding truck?
Yeah,
Do they?
All right, well,
just think about it, it
Yeah.
doesn't, like I said, you don't have to make a decision
Ye-
today, I just wanted to send that out there for you to review it and have a chance to talk it over. Maybe go over and have a look at it, like I say, when you go over and you
Understood.
see the massive amount that they're gonna cut and haul out.
I just want to say that, the price shocked me. No, I know we
Gotcha.
have the president and vice president in the room right now of the HOA, but the fact is, I'd like to bounce this off the rest of the board members.
That's fine, that's
And,
absolutely fine,
Now,
Does
did they-
anybody-
Did they bid on 4 trees though?
yes,
It says 400. Are there really 4? Is it?
Yes.
The 4 includes the one that's broken over?
no,
You said it, they would remove that as well.
well, that's just a stump grinder.
Oh, you mean that was removed already, or?
No.
The one that went down, most of it was hauled out, cut and hauled out of there after the hurricane,
I
but
know,
there's
I
4
just want-
others back there.
It's not clear that that's included in this estimate though.
I will ask them to make sure that it's included,
Okay.
make it
Or,
revised.
yeah, make sure we're not paying to remove
How much do we
tree
pay?
debris that's not there anymore.
That one that went down.
What's that?
How much did we pay to have one hauled down? That went down.
I don't know.
Of these 4?
No.
It's entirely possible we didn't. It could
No,
have
the
been
one that went down. She's asking how much it cost to take out the one that went down.
It was not itemized at the time because that was right after the hurricane and there was so many trees down that got removed I didn't get it itemized how much each tree.
If you
or-
recall, we paid, I think, a total of nearly $20,000 to clean things up that were our responsibility. And on top of that, certainly money was paid out by FEMA to do a lot of work too.
Was it Anchor at that time also, they weren't bidding per job, they were charging us per hour, right? Which
At
is
that point,
actually-
yes, it was
yeah.
like by the day and
Yeah, so
labor,
it
time
was-
and labor, fairly much.
Yeah.
Which was probably better.
Well, we gotta trust them though,
Yeah.
they can pat that too. All right, Elle, I think maybe we'll get this on the agenda for the next
That's
meeting
fine.
and talk
Mhm.
about it.
Can she
But
get
if
another
anybody,
estimate before then?
what's that?
Can she get another estimate before the meeting?
I can certainly make that
Yeah,
happen.
who else would you use? Because I know there's a couple of companies that have come in, that some of our residents have called to come in and take down trees.
Yeah, there's several tree companies around.
And I was thinking about contacting, but if you have another one, go for it.
Sure.
And just to see what we're really looking at here.
No,
And
no
confirm
problem.
with Anchor, they're not charging us to take debris out in a tree that's already been removed for the most part. So
Right.
essentially, we're only paying for 3 trees to be
No, there's
taken down.
4 full trees.
Four additional.
There's 4 full trees back
And
there.
in this quote then,
So it's like
the
4 and a half.
grinding of, so we're grinding 5,
4
taking down and removing 4.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what that number's about.
Now, the other thing I can do, if this is what you want to do, if you're kinda not wanting to move them, I can get an estimate to prune the ones that are back there.
Kick them back, yeah.
Yeah, but then they're
Not
just
if
gonna
they
grow right
keep
back.
growing. Not if they keep growing.
I know,
I think we need to
but
get over and get them out there. But
Are they not attractive at all? Yeah.
Well,
I
depending
mean,
how
suppose-
close they are to
Suppose it
you.
was growing toward your house property, it'd be a different story.
Well, if it was on my property, I'd have to pay to remove it. This these trees supposedly are off the property, which
the
makes
trunk
them.
is, but the canopy is hanging over one property in particular that wants this tree trimmed up.
Mhm.
Is that Stone Valley?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's closer that way.
So,
Alrighty,
And
and
the
this
rock that's not
is.
supposed to be there anyway.
that's
That's a key
correct.
factor.
That's correct,
Gotta
yeah.
go.
You know, it's not dilly-dally. It's a lot of money to take down a few trees. And I'll be
Yeah,
honest
we're
with
in
you,
this area,
if
aren't
I
we?
wasn't aware or have this discussion and I was outside this
That's the big
committee,
one that fell, right?
and I saw after the fact
Well,
that this committee had
no, that
approved to
wouldn't
spend
be
that
there.
kind of money to
No,
take
but
down
this is
4
an old
trees,
picture.
I wouldn't have been
Oh,
What
happy.
area are we looking at?
I'd like to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Here, here, here. And I think maybe
That
that one
green
might
one?
be one there too.
So they're on the, okay, so they're on that part of the property.
Yeah. But
Oops, go ahead.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, which has happened a time or
From
two,
our church advertising.
this is the one that's hanging over the property right there.
Okay. So here's Stone Valley. They're all these. They're back here.
Then,
You know, some of them are almost up to the houses on Ivory Stone now. This one's like close to Ivory Stone.
Right.
And he's got a pool cage there, it looks like, and
yeah,
that'll make even taking that tree down a little interesting. Boy, I'd love to know where those trees came from. What are the other trees that are there?
Pines.
And oaks.
And oaks?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanna make sure we're getting all of these trees, so we're not facing this again later.
Shoot, we'll go home, we'll grab my Jeep, we'll drive back there.
There you go.
Do some figure eights in the backyard over there.
Do they do any kind of guarantee that they won't grow back
See 'em,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
with
they're
the
old.
trees?
No,
No.
no, you're dealing with nature, and especially a invasive exotic species.
Well, I could see not guaranteeing elsewhere around the area, but the tree they're cutting down and treating and grinding, they're not gonna guarantee it?
Generally, no, that doesn't usually come with it.
Yeah. That's, I guess, a little surprising. And what do they use to treat, do you know?
What product, it would be an herbicide.
Okay.
the thing when they, the tree is ground, they just leave that stuff there. That's what happened when I had a tree.
The ground up stump, yes, but that is basically, at that point, that part's not gonna grow back, that's just
I know, but
mulch.
that's sort of
Why don't
like
they
an
remove,
eyesore too.
why don't they remove that hump of ground up tree is what she's asking.
Yeah, I mean, that gets to be an eyesore.
2 trees were taken down on Greenstone in the yards, and they, 3
Yards are a
actually,
mess
3,
right now.
and they just leave a mess, you know, it's a big mound, and they told my next door neighbor, oh, that'll settle in, and I said, well, don't bank on it, and it hasn't.
You mean the root, you
Oh,
mean the
it'll
root,
take-
you mean your
No,
root?
the size. The
It
size.
will settle in. We took out a huge
Yeah.
oak tree right behind this building. You were just
How
back
many-
there.
how many years does
Huge
that
oak
take?
tree.
Well,
It's,
that's it. It is gonna take a few years. no
But-
doubt about it.
and now where we took that tree out,
I think Tom's talking
There's a
about,
sinkhole.
I think Tom's talking about just the solid, just the dust, the chip,
No,
the
from the
chips.
grinding,
No,
from the
yeah.
grinding.
The
When they
grinding.
grind it up, it creates all these chips and.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. He's not talking about the root ball underneath the ground.
Right, right.
He's not talking about the raised part.
I'm talking about the stuff that's left from
Yeah.
from the grinding itself.
Pile of
They don't level it out.
no, it's just not something that's generally done. I had Mainscape go around and do that on,
My neighbor's gonna have to go out there now and level that off, and dig out all the stuff they left, or he's gonna get a fine.
well, you know, I can always ask them to add that to their scope of work.
The problem is this is a preserve.
That,
If you leave it there,
will-
it's gonna go away.
No, it's not, technically it's not a preserve though.
Well,
it's a
it's covered
reserved
there.
green space.
A reserved green space, right?
It's not really a preserve, it's a reserved green space.
If this was the preserve, you guys would be paying to take
Yeah,
the tree.
if it would, yeah, if it was preserved, half of that stuff wouldn't be back there.
All right, it sounds like we're probably gonna do it, but let's make that final decision at the next meeting.
Not a
okay?
problem,
All right,
not a
and
problem.
We can let others in the community know what's going on.
Do you guys know where, anyone gonna go back there and take a look at it, or?
No.
It's not too, well,
Any of them
the
close
4 of
enough?
us don't live that far away from this.
Are any of them close enough to Pebblebrook to see
No.
from there?
They're all, if you can see, here's the loop for Stone Valley.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all on the, almost the east side.
Oh, back there.
Yeah, that's what I didn't know. I was thinking in that, yeah.
Are they the light green ones?
Yes,
That would be it.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
it's
another
like
question? With
this
the
one,
large amount of
that
property
one, couple
for
maybe
Stony
those.
Brook,
Yeah.
is there any chance
Okay.
there's any
The
more
lighter
of
green
these?
ones.
Or
Yeah, I was thinking
I
somebody,
haven't
I
noticed
count more than
anymore.
4 lighter
somebody
green ones,
sought
but
this out and
they're not
said,
all
oh, there's
ficus.
ficus, or because they were coming to you saying, we need to trim a tree, you're like, oh my God,
Yes.
they're
It could have been,
ficus.
it could have been.
well,
some of the
I knew
sunset
that they were
ones.
back there.
Okay.
I asked a long time ago, or,
Because I don't go in people's backyards.
I had offered to take them out or whatever some time ago, but, you know, you just didn't go there.
Okay.
It wasn't bothering
I'm
anybody,
just
but now
curious,
it's
do you think
bothering.
there's more?
No, I
I
don't
think we
think
do.
there's more.
I think we
Okay.
do.
Okay,
really.
all right, so we're gonna push this back till the next meeting. Anything else to report? I noticed you've done some planting.
Right?
How are we doing with that?
Well, it's doing very well. There's a few plants that will be replaced under warranty.
Okay,
And I know they're all very small right now.
Mhm.
They're going to fill in and look really, really nice.
okay.
Um,
And did we adjust the irrigation to make sure
Yes.
because we're in the dry season? Okay, so-
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. They've been put on a grow-in schedule as far as irrigation.
And the
Very
ones
good.
near, I call it like the entranceway, right before you take the left,
Mm-hmm.
those hedges look great. Is there any way we can put Milorganite on them every 6 months?
Possibly. Mm-hmm.
I love that stuff. Juice them up.
Gotcha.
When I was driving over here today, I noticed the guys were trimming outside the fence along Gateway Boulevard. And it brought to my attention, you know, we still have those Mexican petunias that are blotchy in some sections. Are we just gonna try to let that go, or is there a plan
No,
there, or proposal? Something
We're
think
trying
about?
to we're trying to decide on a plan. The problem is those beds it takes so much to fill them in. And I don't wanna just do one at a time, I want it to look uniform when we're done.
Well, is it worth possibly, in the couple of places where they're really bad, just pulling them out and getting some more not ground cover, but wood chips in there just to make it look like we're at least
Yeah.
maintaining it, keep the weeds down.
I know where you can find some.
I don't think there's enough chips there, Mr. Older,
Left
but
behind.
Well,
thanks,
this-
thanks for the thought, though.
Thinking this project maybe. Not
Not even
That's what he's
there, when they
referring
have
to.
to cover those beds, those are big beds.
I just wondered, you know,
I even looked at, just replanting the, spaces with Mexican petunias.
which would be, I know we've discussed this many times over the years, but, which would be fine with me.
Right,
I don't know what kind of money we're talking about. I mean, we
Yeah.
can space it out and they do fill in, you know,
Yeah.
once they get the rain. It's something to think about.
I'll
down the
revisit
road.
that thought again, but yeah, Kathy, Freddie and I, whenever, we've been talking about that we really, really need to do something out
Yeah.
there and to come up with a plan, again, that makes it look like that's what it should have been to start with. We don't,
Yeah,
we
well,
don't wanna
no.
piece it in, because you've
Yeah.
got one bed that looks good, and then the next one's splotchy, and then you got two or three that look good, and then the next one's thin. You know, so to make it look right, we need to do it uniform, and
I understand, and I do agree.
Can I go back to the hedges real quick? They do look great. But the big wires that come out of the ground from Comcast, they haven't done any damage to what you just planted, right? It looks like they're almost right there.
as I rode
I
down
went,
through there today, I
"No."
didn't see anything.
Okay, 'cause I was
But,
like,
you know,
oh my
they're
gosh,
still,
we're
they're
ripping
still
up.
working, give them time.
So I know, I saw them working on the irrigate, or the bubbler, the aerators.
Yes,
They were out there.
Yeah, that needs to be cleaned up on some kind of regular basis. I'm not sure what the.
I think we're on a
schedule is.
contract with them.
I believe so.
what's that?
Aren't we on a contract with the company for the aerators?
To
Yes,
maintain them,
yes, yes, we just, started a new contract,
All right.
November.
Okay.
They're
How often are they supposed to be
currently
out there?
going through the community and evaluating everything, but the one that you're talking about down there today,
60.
that was a project that I had started before the contract went out. They were down there today to check it out, because there was one head that was not working, the third one in from Pebblebrook, and they found the lines clogged. I replaced all the diffusers in that pond. The existing ones were replaced with new diffusers, plus we added two. And we added another compressor to the unit as well.
Okay.
Because that's a big pond, and it only had 3 heads in it with a half-horse compressor, and it just, you know, I didn't feel like it, or what I feel like had nothing to do with it. It just was not doing the pond any justice. We needed to add some more aeration to turn it over better.
Okay.
But they did find the line clogged, and they were going to get a compressor to blow it out and get it back up.
How do you feel about the way that the big pond over there is holding up with after the restoration project?
The one that was restored,
Yes.
it looks good. I mean, it's holding up.
I'm surprised it's doing as well as it is too. I really am. I don't think it looks bad either. And it seems like the weeds, I don't know if you sprayed over there or whatever, but it seems like I was concerned about the weeds starting growing up through the rocks or
You mean
something.
from the people's yards, or from the?
Well,
lake
even
itself?
where the stones stop, you
That
know.
lake road didn't have that many weeds to begin with.
No, it didn't. It really didn't have much of a problem with it, but I know what Joe's talking about, stuff popping up through the
Yeah.
stone. There's 2 layers of fabric under that stone, and that stone's 4 inches thick.
Okay.
That's not much.
No, but, you know, when you're talking about shading out the weed seeds,
Yeah.
that does help a lot. And Aquagenics does maintain it from the, control elevation down. So they've been, when something does pop up in the rocks, because it happens, they spray it.
Sure.
I've
I'm not
pulled,
sure.
I've pulled a couple of things out.
Well,
that were
thank you.
small.
Oh,
Appreciate
good, keep it
that.
up.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk around the lake. Is there any way what homeowners can do besides pulling things up, or just leave it be?
Well, they can either leave it or they can pull it like you did.
There's nothing to
They're
treat,
not,
like
they're not required to go out there and
But
do
not,
any
no,
pulling.
what about Roundup?
No. Roundup, the base ingredient in Roundup is glyphosate, which Aquaneat that they use, or Rodeo that they use to spray the pond banks with, also contains glyphosate. However, the surfactant in the product is different in Roundup. Roundup is toxic to
Marine
aquatic
life.
life, yes. So that, and it's a surfactant. The products that they use are tested and approved for aquatic use.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the name of the one that is approved?
Aquaneat is one,
Aquaneed?
Aquaneat, Neat. But again, you have to be a licensed
Right.
To probably get it. yeah.
pesticide applicator to do anything in an aquatic area.
Okay.
or a preserve area.
Just pull them up by hand.
Or, you know, they come by they are at every pond on a monthly basis. They will come by and spray them.
Okay.
I get pond
It looks
safety doesn't
good.
have a problem, doesn't have an issue.
Yeah, it looks good. I understand the little one that's in the picture, that's inside the Stone Valley Loop, that's the next one to get done. And I also understood it might get started by the end of February.
That I don't know, I'm not in those
If
meetings.
they're, and this is off the subject, but if they're waiting to do this stuff out of rainy season, why haven't they started these projects now?
Some of it has to do with bids. They weren't happy with the first round of bids that came back, they rebid it.
By the time they bid, we're gonna be back in rainy
It's
season.
well, it's done, it's done, and I think that they close to it. Is that deal signed now? You don't know, okay.
Again, I don't know, I'm not part of the project, so.
That's close to being done.
Right.
That's close to being done.
Now, this said the estimate is good for 30 days, is that?
This is true, that's on all of our proposals, but, you know, if I need to have them hold, you know, redate it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Anybody
I
have
can
any?
have it
I've got
revised and
nothing else.
resent.
Okay,
I have a question,
go ahead.
and I don't know if you can help me. On bring it up each meeting, the post, the sign post and the street signs,
That would be her.
it's not her, so I just have to get somebody from Gateway to talk to. It used to be Mike and he's not here anymore, right?
Mhm.
So just temporarily painting the bases of those, so I'll send somebody.
Actually, it's my understanding that there is somebody going around paying them now.
I
Yes,
heard
I think
somebody,
there
but
is.
I'm like,
Mainscape.
They're fixing their damage?
good, okay.
Okay.
I heard, well,
And,
somebody
you know,
told me they fixed Weatherstone. I have to drive down
actually-
there to see.
As I went down through the community the other day, I was noticing, posts that have the same issue that are not on Pebblebrook, and they are not at the intersections, they're on the road. So.
Which post would be down, you're saying off the intersection?
One of them was actually a
No
mailbox
parking.
post. Broken, and it's broken the exact same way.
What kind of post?
A mailbox.
Oh, yeah, you know
But
what,
that's
that
probably
happens.
from their landscape, right?
Yeah, or people back out of the driveways across, or they get neighbors that don't realize the road's not very wide, they back up. We know mailboxes get hit by cars.
Yeah.
We know that,
Oh.
and that's, yeah.
At any rate,
Well,
yeah, it was my understanding, I have not actually seen them doing it, but I
will tell you that
heard that
the broken,
Mainscape was down there
the broken poles along
repairing and
Pebblebrook,
painting.
there is no doubt who's hitting them. It's Mainscape.
Yeah.
The ones on the side street, I will agree with you, that's cars, and that's us.
You know, I do wanna bring this up, this is up the main state thing, but we stopped it by now, and I'm not sure whose responsibility this is. Shannon is working on this, but since this is almost technically, I think it's your property, where our flagpole is, in the middle of the cul in the middle by the gatehouse, where the curb is. For a while there, we were letting Lee County School System do U-turns there, and they've rutted that up pretty bad. Shannon was going to call, Lee County School Systems to have them fix it. We've stopped the buses making a U-turn, but if they don't fix it,
Just let me know, and I'm sure Mainscape will be happy to
More than
provide a
happy to take care
proposal.
of it. Yeah.
will Lee County School ever fix things? I mean, you probably.
That I don't know.
You never had any
I've
issues
never
out
had them
there?
fix anything
Okay.
out there, yeah, even when I caught a school bus on the side of the road, stuck in a rut.
What you gotta do in a situation like that is get a letter into the school board, your school board chairman.
I know Shannon is working on it.
Yeah.
So,
But you called
but
people
you've
up.
actually seen school buses on the side of the road broken down in their own rut. and
Well,
they don't
not
fix it.
broken down, but they just pulled off, and yes, now they're sitting in a rut, and, you know, I stopped and spoke to the bus driver,
And nothing.
no,
Okay.
crickets, no response.
Well, there's a huge rut along Pebblebrook right now. Someone turned around and didn't have room, just went up over the curb and
Where at?
cut out, I don't remember. It's on the, as you come in, it'll be on the right side. But it's fairly close to Greenstone.
Goes all the way down at the far end.
Yeah, it's closer to our end of it, but it's
You know,
It's
it's
about 6 or 8 feet long. You can see the tracks in the road, and I've seen those Comcast contractors do that. But somebody turned around and it had to be a truck, because it went right up over the curb and went right, you know.
And if it is Comcast, I will bring it up to them.
I
Friday morning is our meeting.
I don't know how you
with them.
approve it. It is Friday.
Yeah, that's the
morning?
thing is just, you hit the nail on the head there, Mr. Roller, because I have those ruts right now up right up here on Griffin Drive. And I saw some this morning, then this afternoon, I saw them on saw another set.
Yeah.
Always repairing the ruts and such on the side of the road, and like I say, if you don't see them do it, and even sometimes when you do.
Right.
Yeah, but they are parking right along there, but also, it's not anywhere near the lift stations, are they? Because I have
can't
seen
remember.
some of their trucks pull up off the street
can't
to
remember.
service those.
Have the buses been notified not to do that?
Yeah.
They have, okay.
Al, I think we're.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, appreciate it
You're
very much.
very, very welcome, thank you.
Is Chris by any chance in the building?
I'm sorry, he is not. Chris is not here this week.
I know Diane's still out.
Diane is out. Mike Kraft is here.
What is, I don't want to bring him in if he really can't really help us, but what functions or what are his responsibilities? What could we, if we had a question for him, in what area would that be?
Who's that, Mike Kraft?
Yeah.
I believe he is the business manager. You know, and I could be stating that incorrectly.
Mhm.
What issue do we have?
Oh, is he the one that gets our minutes?
He's the one that he's the one that sent the.
Sent the email out to us. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
well, that-
requested that I give him information for an agenda, but I really didn't have anything.
Right.
And the reason I wanted to ask was because I went looking for an email that I had gotten from Chris previously, a while back, asking me to put something on the agenda. I know a lot's gone on, and I can't remember what it was. And so I couldn't put it on the agenda for this time, because I couldn't remember. And I figured we could talk about it, but that's okay.
Okay.
If it was that important, he'd have gotten back to me, and we'll discuss it next time.
Very good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful day.
You too.
And as
Thank
always,
you.
if I
And a
can
good
help,
holiday,
And a
because
good
we may
Christmas.
not see you, yeah.
you have my number. Happy holidays to all of you as well.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas.
Share my little page.
Oh, yeah, what, yeah. just-
No, no, no.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have anything else that I can
Yeah,
think of,
I-
unless somebody wants to bring up something.
Yeah, what was the final decision about the pressure washing of the sidewalks and curbing again? I mean, we talked about it.
And they were supposed to come in and do it. And
Well, wasn't, he was supposed to get another date from another company.
it
but then
was,
he got
they got
left.
fired, and nobody picked up the ball.
Right, so.
And
where-
that would have probably been a discussion for Mike, the other Mike, and Chris if he was here, but he's not here. Yeah, if we could keep going much longer, huh? But now would be a good time to do it, I do agree with you. What I will do is, I will send in an email requesting a follow-up on that, and let us know what the status is, because that was something that was in Mike's hands. We had approved it, as I recall. Everybody in agreement with that? We had approved it?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And, see what happened if maybe it just got dropped. You know, between Mike getting fired and Diane not feeling good. Even the last meeting we had, she was in a lot of pain. She could hardly function. It probably fell between the cracks. I'll see what I can do. I know that the Board of Supervisors has been very busy. And they've been, and the staff has been very busy. They're working on a bunch of things. Not the least of which, really, I happened to go to the last meeting, was a discussion about spending $600,000 on an RV park. And I got a problem with that, I really do, to be able to park RVs in the community.
Whose idea was that?
I don't know, Ed Tinkle was pushing it, but I'm not sure it was
Oh,
originally his idea. But
Do they charge them to park there?
Yeah.
they do, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to cover $600,000, and nowhere in that discussion. They're talking about having enough parking for 84 or 85 spots, different sizes for different RVs and boats and whatever else. And I don't know how they handle parking, but they were discussing a lot of very somewhat upscale surface and drainage and maybe source of water and electricity. And I just don't know
We're not.
that we need that. We're not in the business of parking RV
That's
vehicles. And
Well, they do it now.
Exactly.
We're already in the business.
Yeah, we're already in the
We're already in
business.
the business,
And
but
there's,
this
there's
is
a
another
waiting,
whole
there's been a
skill.
waiting line
There's
for
one
the
of these
last
now.
3 or
Oh,
4
we don't
years.
want to
So-
start it.
Huh?
Here,
Yeah, there's not many spots out there, but you start talking about a much bigger enterprise. And the maintenance of it, as well as the staff responsibility to manage it, takes a lot of time. It's just like things that we've done in our own staff. And they have a problem with their understaffed right now as it is. They're looking at expanding, where to put more office space. They're bringing a couple of temporary offices in to install, and that's one of the reasons why they're getting rid of some of this space out here, and they need more parking. In any case, that's something that down the road, because they were talking about having significant impact on our taxes too. And I don't know if they jack up rates to be able to cover this kind of money and the financing involved. It might be a white
We'll
elephant.
stop the park.
Yeah, well, remember, the thing with the tennis way back when.
I was one of the ringleaders in
Yeah,
that.
that was not good. In any case, that's something that's out there floating around among many other things that they're looking to spend money on. And I'm not so sure, but $600 grand for parking.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you're talking $8 grand, $9 grand parking spot.
Who gets to vote on that?
What's that? The supervisors will make the decision, so you gotta step up if you have strong feelings on it.
So it's already been put out there and it's in the works.
I think the parking is good for the, all in general for the gateway services, but you can do it for a lot
less money.
A lot less. You can do it for, jeez.
They want to charge those RVs and to cover that. Enough.
Well, they do charge, but if they'd have to charge, if that was a business, they'd probably charge a lot more money to cover the cost. And the issue comes down, does the rest of the community need to subsidize that?
No, we should.
no,
And so,
Well,
that's what the issue
There's
is.
discussion about it on the Facebook site.
Is it?
It is out there.
Which,
It is
which
out
site?
Is there more than one?
Which Facebook site?
No,
Well,
it's Stoneybrook. No,
next
no.
door.
Stoneybrook.
The next
Oh, the
door?
next door.
I
But
don't know
this
what it's
was-
called. I don't get on it. Judy mentioned it to me because she said she saw it on there.
Wasn't on ours.
I didn't see it.
That's the only one she looks at.
Is
see it.
the
Maybe, and
It might have been next
maybe it came
door.
up a coffee call or something. I don't know what next door, what's next door? I don't know what that is.
Next door is another
Website
site
for 'em.
that's a greater, even
For all
more than
Gateway.
Gateway.
No, she doesn't look at that.
I
Maybe it
don't
came,
think- I don't
maybe
think
it
any-
came up a coffee call. I
Yeah,
don't
because I
know.
don't think anyone in our community would be talking about parking lot, storage.
I didn't know anything about it, and I wouldn't know about it if I hadn't gone to that last meeting, because I actually went to see how the whole voting process went for who was gonna be chairman
They've been
and vice
talking
chair.
about doing a new storage for years now.
Yes, I know, I know.
Well, doesn't Kathy put in our scoop information about what's discussed, so at least people that don't go to those meetings have a clue what's going on?
Not at a gateway, maybe.
Not on
I
Gateway
thought she
meeting.
put something in there about gateway services meetings.
In the scoop.
She might give a little bit of a heads up, but nothing too.
Well, I don't know where in
Because
there
that
she
would throw
would
up red flags to people.
be doing that. You know, now that we're gonna be electronic, we can probably put more things in that document, because we're not worrying about the cost of printing. So possibly there will be more information in there in the future. Something we can work out, because, you know, I'm sure we can get some people to volunteer to write some articles about things they know about, and to try to communicate to the rest of the residents. It's just something to do. Well, in any case, I don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything else to talk about?
No.
they did. Make it-
Oh.
I make a motion to adjourn.
No, since I'm Dick, I move we
Looking good today, Dick. What was I gonna say? So let's just set the next meeting for January 9th. Is everybody okay with that?
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't think I'll be here.
I might not be here on that one. I'm going on a cruise.